Epstein's alive. Pizzagate. The earth is flat. Hollow. Space is fake. You're part of the cabal. Man.
The Q Report.
Anywho, yeah, so I didn't even, what was the first one, Alan? The second one just captured my fascination. The first one was...
The first one's just simple. Like, it's Trump gets reinstated as president, just because. That's because... I think that's always my thing with it. It's like, well, why? And it's like, well, just because fucking... Because deep state. And then they just say, like, buzzwords, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, he just gets reinstated as 18th president. But then, remember... Trump, the fucking generous man that he is, steps down and hands the reins to JFK Jr. to be president, because that's how the president works. You just hand that over. There's no process for it. And then remember, disgraced national security advisor. That's how I introduced Michael Flynn. Disgraced national security advisor Michael Flynn is his vice president.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of like, I don't know. I feel like that combination like outfits all of our soldiers with rollerblades and we go to war. Like that's how I feel that kind of shakes up
with rocket boosters on them though, like fucking jackass. Like I would say if you want to keep the thing going, you probably stir up something. JFK Jr. crashed. It was like off of Long Island or off of Massachusetts, I think.
Martha's Vineyard. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, my bad. But anyway, you either.
Where else would a Kennedy crash has played with Martha's Vineyard?
Right. Yeah. I don't know, Nantucket. But I don't know if you organized something there, but maybe just off in mainland somewhere in Massachusetts, and then someone dresses up kind of like semi-swamp thingish and comes like out of the ocean. I'm JFK Jr. See what happens.
19th president of the United States.
I mean, if I had the money, I might buy if I had the money, I might buy like a replica plane and just drop it into that area of the Atlantic and then be like, come on, Q's, we're going to pull this fucking plane out. Let's go. And I bet you get some fucking good chunk of change off of grifting people for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should just get fucking Trump grift.
I know, we man. We've already come up with
this podcast is fucking Trump centric.
Two great ideas. I almost feel like this is also like the people who belong to a religious cult, and it comes time to drink the Kool-Aid, and there's a couple people like, oh shit, we're really drinking poison. Nah, I'm not doing this. Like I feel like there's cures that are like, oh, y'all really thought that shit was going to happen, huh?
I think it's even more like that. Like they still play it off. They're like, oh, what is it? Is this orange Kool-Aid? Nah, I'm allergic to orange. I'm gonna go pick up some red, guys. I'll be back. And then you just never.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I'm thankful for things like this because hopefully you get the folks that go out for the red Kool-Aid and they're like, oh shit, what have I gotten myself involved in? But the ones that showed up to Dealey Plaza, they love orange. They're ready to gulp it down.
Oh yeah. No, I did not catch. Of course, if they said 4,000, skeptics are going to say the media is lying. It was a couple hundred. Like, okay, then a couple hundred too many. I mean, that's one too many. But yeah, I read on multiple sources thousands. Now, I don't think it was tens of thousands, and I don't think it was anything close to that. But I think a few thousand people showed up, and
any amount of thousands of people that showed up because of this specific purpose is too many people.
Okay, but see, I would have to. I want to lessen this a little bit. I want to give it some credit here because if the three of us were in a central location, let's say they were doing this in downtown Baltimore, I may not make it, but you guys would definitely be out there to people watch. Okay, so that's up in those numbers. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say 50% were there because they believe it, and the other 50 were there to laugh at them and pretend they believe it. Wow. So,
okay.
Thankfully, it's probably not as many as we. God.
Oh, and of course,
it's not as many. Probably more of a 70-30. I think that the watchers on have learned that you got to kind of you got to play it cool. you can't just go in hot into one of those things being like, I'm fucking watching you, crazy person, because they do not like that.
Yeah. And they seem to recognize crazy. If you went in there acting like it, like you were full supportive, they'd be like, I don't know, you just seem
you're too about it.
too a little off, buddy.
Because here's the thing is like I think we're teetering at this breaking point where like you said, a lot of them are like, man, I'm crazy, ain't I? I'm too far in. Cognitive dissonance. I just can't. Like I've waited at this fucking car dealership for 6 hours, so whatever price they bring back in here, I'm just gonna take it. They're in too deep.
Yeah, and don't forget there were certainly at least a few dozen people acting as Q, trying to rile up for rioting and looting and things of that nature. That's certainly. I mean, you can't have a crowd like that without some perps.
Yeah, well, they keep harping on this guy who looks like he like legitimately draw. You remember like the cartoony drawn on beards that like Looney Tunes had or something, like if there was like an evil version of them. Mm-hmm. Like there's just some guy who wears a fedora and he has one of those beards and everybody's like, that's him. That's JFK Jr. Like, and I think people are now like starting to catch on to other grifters, minor grifters are starting to catch on, and like they just show up in disguise and they're like, I'm fucking Ted Kennedy. And they're like, oh my God, look at him. He's here. Like, it's fucking.